Hey, good morning. Welcome in on Monday morning here to SNSN. Mike Minarski and Wayne Malin. And this morning we have a couple of gentlemen from Griswold Public Schools that we haven't seen for quite some time. And that's the superintendent of schools, Sean McKenna. And now it's assistant superintendent. That's Glenn Labossiere. So I got to ask Glenn. It's like, what was up with the name? It seems like it was going back and forth. First, it was the director of teaching, learning, and innovation. What? Why this back and forth switch?
I think, as we know, with education, things change a little bit, and the job has become more of the assistant superintendent with all the demands on the superintendent. So a lot of the same things, same roles.
But it was the same thing anyway, wasn't it? Or was there anything different?
A few different things. I take on a few different ideas or different things to take a little bit off of Sean's plate. But
and I think it's consistent with most of the districts that are our size and in terms of student population and budget and DERG. So
got it. What do you got, Wayne?
It's easier to say assistant superintendent than the rest of those other titles.
And you look great. I mean, I haven't seen you in about a year. And how much did you lose?
Probably about 40 right now.
I was saying, I noticed. Like I said, I noticed it in your face.
Yep, just trying to feel a little better as you get a little older.
I don't know if it's working out or Sean running them all over the place.
Could be a combination. I'm not sure. So, Sean, we're here to talk about the budget.
Yeah.
And the budget vote. And really, I'm going to go ahead and just give you the floor and, let people know what you want them to know and about the budget.
So thank you for having me. And Glenn, this is like a new setup. I'm trying to get used to it because I'm usually, for years, we've been on high chairs or, you know what I'm saying? So it's a little
high chairs like we're babies, know, little trays in front of us.
So we have what I think is a fantastic budget. It's a community budget that supports the students, the teachers, the families of Griswold, and quite frankly, Griswold. It is a budget that we spent a lot of time on. I mean, what you see that's on our website, and anybody can access it at any time. It's been up there. Anything that the Board of Ed has, we put up on our website. We've been working on it since October. We've reviewed everything and trying to figure out ways to bring in a responsible budget during this particular time for the taxpayers, whom we are very grateful for. And we respect with all our hearts and minds, but unfortunately, the big costs right now are salaries and benefits. When I say benefits, I'm talking mostly about healthcare insurance.
Right.
That initially came in at an 11% increase, and that's over $4 million in our budget. And we were able to get it down to 7%. And then we have the other we have over 300 employees total between full-time and part-time. And when you add in all of the increases, contractual and non-contractual, it's significant. I mean, we have 1,800 plus students. We have over 300 employees, over 100 of whom live in town and work in town. Those are the drivers of the budget. If you look at what we do for what we call our per pupil expenditure compared to other communities around here, we do well. We're investing the money well. It's not like we're taking the money and investing it irresponsibly. The thing that is unique about Griswold, I will say this, I was up here on Saturday in the office and I arrived around 8 and it was the weather was and left around 12 noon. There are people using it. It's a community space. They are walking the campus as they should. They have children playing on the playscapes, which we've upgraded as they should. They're using the field, which they should. It is, unlike where I live, the school district, I often say this, is a community center. So we crafted this budget with the community in mind. And it does highlight all the good things that are going on here for families and for children. But more importantly, it also shows, if you look into it in detail, we're investing what we get well, wisely, and with the taxpayers in mind.
Okay. You also support youth and rec in a lot.
Ryan's programs, he's a great community partner. We have a great relationship with Ryan and Phil. A lot of their programming, if not the majority of it, is particularly the summer program. It's housed there. We have all of our youth leagues that can use our facilities, and it's great to have a pipeline for those ECC teams, and start building while they're young. So we're excited to do that, and everybody should rejoice in that facility because it is Griswold. It's your facility.
So talking sports for a minute, and I'm going to address this to Glenn because being an athletic director, in your career, some questions have come up about lacrosse, and I guess the co-op with Ledyard has ended.
Yeah.
Now, is there something that's moving forward? I saw a couple of comments about lacrosse, thinking like, well, kids just aren't. Maybe they can't afford it, or stuff like that. I don't know if you've heard any of that.
I haven't.
I think the biggest thing is that ever since the Wolves left, there has been less focus on lacrosse. But
I know.
Comment on that?
In my time as AAD, we did have our own lacrosse team. We sponsored it.
Yeah.
The numbers dwindled a little bit, so we were fortunate enough that Ledyard took some of our student athletes in to co-op with them. I think that it's not a huge sport in our town. I think that is a sport kind of driven by economics. It is an expensive sport. But I do find that I think in our middle school and our elementary school, we do have many that play in the Norwich youth leagues. Yeah. I know I think in the few years down the road, I wouldn't be surprised if we have enough players. Just talking to some of the parents I have, 5th grade, 4th grade, that grade level. So
there's that pipeline that Sean was talking about.
Yeah. Right? And we would, and that's why if you look at the field, we didn't have when we put the field in, we didn't currently have a boys lacrosse that played at our here, but the lines are on the field, boys lacrosse, girls lacrosse, soccer. So we could easily, if we have enough student athletes, we could go back to having boys lacrosse also.
Talking about pipeline too, the Griswold Parks and Rec, they're putting together a wrestling team.
Yep. We've had a strong youth wrestling. We used to have a middle school team.
Yeah, but that's coming back, is it not?
I think they're trying to plan
through,
which would be great to have. Back in the years we had that. We won 3 or 4 state championships in wrestling and had a lot of state champion wrestlers. So it's nice to see that coming back with the wrestling. Youth wrestling, it's nice at the facility. They go in after the high school team for wrestling, and if we have a middle school team again, they can use the same mats for practice. And we used to have them in our in the cafeteria in the middle school. We used to be able to hold most meets. So hopefully the wrestling comes back and build. Dana's been coaching for a long time. We have a great program. So it'd be nice to have the youth wrestling coming back.
So there are other things that are cooking. So I'm glad you mentioned like the community and how the community gets to use the fields and they get to use the schools and the facilities and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if people they just hear, oh, where's practice? It's the middle school. They don't know what goes into it. They don't.
And I think in look, I've had a wonderful time here in Griswold, respect the heck out of this community and everybody and everyone here. But when you go to another community and you see, for instance, there's a middle school, a high school, there's fields, there's a YMCA, there's a youth center that's pretty robust. We don't have that here. And I'm not saying it as a negative. What we have is Griswold Public Schools. Yeah. And it's actually better in many ways because the kids are familiar with the facilities. The facilities are safe. They are clean. We take a lot of time to beautify it. We just put in, thanks to the town of Griswold, some new trees around central office. We put in a new playscape at our middle school. We have an early childhood playground for the little ones that's very safe at the elementary school. And it's one-stop shopping. So if you have everything is here on one footprint. So I think absent of what all these other communities have, we have this one central location. So and I can assure you, we do our best to work with everyone to make sure that we're being very cautious, very careful, and very considerate with the taxpayers' money. And at the same time, building business models. And we like to do that to contribute to the overall kitty.
Talking about your business model, you've done a really good job in bringing in a lot of funds from tuition students and attracting tuition students into town, which helps offset some of the budgetary needs. And actually, it helps with the town needs, too. You want to talk a little bit about that? Since you started it, 3-4 years ago, it was like half of what it was now.
So it was back in 2016. We had 4 towns. We have now 7 towns. And look, we're happy to do that for the town because it's our way of giving back and our way of working with the town. And we've got a great person, Kayla Hedman, that does a lot of work with marketing and trying to appeal to people with some Griswold green, some Griswold logo. And, I'm going to give a shout out to Erin Polonin, who is out there actively with her team, visiting these towns and going to parents' nights. And she in the fall, she has a big open house. Anybody can go. And Griswold is a place where you're not going to get lost in the crowd. People are going to know your name. You know what I mean? And it's not to discredit or talk ill about another institution. It's not. And we're right off the highway. We're very close to a lot of these neighboring towns. It's centrally located. We're not sort of tucked away in the woods or something like that. And I think everybody has done a good job. Ray Churchill's done a good job with that music program. I mean, he goes out and he does performance.
Come to school because of that program.
Absolutely. And the esports. And we have a pretty robust youth manufacturing pipeline where we are placing students at, look, you can get a job at EB coming out of Griswold High School with that program behind you.
And I know a lot of kids that have.
And sometimes we get nicked. Somebody will say, well, the score is this, the score is that. We still get kids into top-notch schools. We still valedictorians going to Lafayette College, salutatorian Bucknell, our valedictorian from a few years ago who went to Brown, she just got into Harvard Medical School. So it's a comprehensive high school. It's a high school where every kid is valued equally. Every family is treated with a lot of care and support, and I'm proud of the work that we're all collectively doing.
One of the things I'm glad that you said was, talking about the scores and stuff like that, and how the kids are still getting into great schools and stuff. That's one of the things that I hear from time to time, and it's like I don't know how that's even founded.
Well, we have to test every single child, and we have to. I'm not here, nor is Glenn, to make people feel poorly about, you didn't meet this benchmark or that benchmark. They're improving overall because what you see are composites and a summary of the scores. And we know that we have some early returns. We are making gains. But the flip side of that is, if you look at the college acceptances for the past 5 or 6 years, we are placing kids in the Ivies and sub-Ivies. And 4 or 5 years ago, valedictorian was Brown, and the salutatorian Yale. And we have, in addition to going, listen, you can't just walk into UConn these days. People have this imaginary that it's competitive, and kids are going to respectable institutions where they're getting a value education for what they can afford. I can tell you, I have 2 kids this past year in college. Let me tell you, it is a burden on families. And one went to a state school. It's a burden. The costs are exorbitant for families. So,
and I think we've added a lot of classes too, where students who are planning to go to college can get more AP classes and other college credit. I'll speak just for in my own family. 2 of my daughters graduated early because of the credits they took from Griswold High School. So we keep adding those things. I think one of the things for us is everybody knows. I can tell you right now, if you went to the high school, Erin and Art know every student in that high school. We're just over 600.
Isn't that part of the appeal? I mean,
I think it is.
That's huge. I went to Griswold High School back, when Fred and Wilma were there. There were 350 kids.
Yeah,
that's it. So the school is doubled in size. You still have the administration that knows every one of these.
They're active. They're in there. And the other thing, we talk about the college and stuff, but I think as Sean, we hit a lot of students are going to work at EB, getting jobs right out of high school. This year, we have a large number of our students going into the military after graduation. I think that we're preparing our kids for those, which is a great option for many of our students. So I think we kind of hit it a little all over the place. Athletics, I think that we're attractive to the fact that if you're a pretty good athlete and you have the ability to play as a freshman and sophomore, some places you don't have that ability to even get looked at until junior, senior year. So, I think we hit a lot of
which is
things.
Which is very true.
I think we, some of our tuition towns and partners, you hear the parents say, by their student coming here, maybe not a big institution down the road there, that, the kids are more successful. They felt things. So we offer different things. Kids can be successful wherever they are, but I think we offer that small atmosphere where everybody kind of knows everybody and you have a chance to maybe try some different things and it's accepted.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about athletics. I know a couple of kids, freshmen, started for the baseball team. Look at the basketball team. They're very young. And we'll talk about a pipeline. kids coming up from there.
We put in a few
middle
years.
school.
We put in a few years ago, thanks to Jacelyn Cavanis, an early childhood program called Wolverines Forward to help families out with before care and after care, which is quality and in a safe facility and affordable. So we're trying to hit all ends, high school, middle school. There's so many clubs. And
That's
so
got to
many
be hard.
things.
It's got to be hard to do. There's so many, so much movement, so many fingers trying to get into things.
And what we
if
did,
if you go to their meetings and you find out all this stuff, and I go constantly, and I won't tell you why, but I go.
Well, we all know why. I mean.
But you find out all this stuff that's going on, And a couple of weeks ago, I went to a presentation about government. That's one of their AP courses, and talked about it at one of their meetings there. And I was very impressed that the students gave the presentation about government and politics and how to decipher between fake news and the truth and where to go to look for it so you can make up your mind, when you get old enough to vote, so you can be informative and make your vote informative and how you want to see things in our country be made. So it was very good. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the school that, there's a lot of chatter on Facebook that I hear about. I'm not on Facebook, as you well know. So I hear all about it. And I think it's a lot of those people don't even go and understand what these guys are doing on a day-to-day basis.
And thank you. And it is about the kids, and it's also about the families too. We have PTOs. I'm telling you right now, if they had to write a book on how to organize, fundraise, community outreach for PTOs, they should come up and talk to one of our parents. I mean, these parents deserve an incredible shout out, from how they treat us on Teacher Appreciation Week to bringing in fun activity, that Harlem basketball game they brought in. That was, I think, Kim Nielsen and a bunch of parents, and just coming up with
loved that, by the way.
Coming up with really innovative, quality family programming. And I think that, even though it's not directly related, but it is. This is what we're supporting. Sure. We're supporting a community school where everybody has a voice. You want to go to the Yales and Harvards of the world. You want to go to into the armed services. You want to go to an affordable, quality education. Do what you need to do. You're going to have a voice, and you're going to have a place at Griswold Public Schools.
Yeah. Just on the PTOs, I don't think there's many high schools that have an active PTO at the high school level, and we do have that over the last few years. It's built up. So I think most high schools don't have that.
Right.
Does it go up and down as far as participation is concerned? Or is it pretty steady?
I mean, it's pretty steady. I mean, the elementary is always, elementaries usually have large ones, middle school. But a few years back, I know some parents approached Darren about doing
the high school
level, and it's taken off, and they're very active.
Good.
Yep.
That's good. So let's talk about the vote.
Yeah.
I know you have some limited time this morning. So tell us, where exactly the budget is, when it's going to be. I mean, I know, but
so our budget. So it's many moving parts, right? It's like at 4.8, but the mill is a little bit over 1, which I think is really considerate for families, and looking at the sort of Eastern Connecticut landscape where some places are doing 2 and 3.
Shout Norwich.
Yeah, really high.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Board of Finance. They asked the probing questions and listened, and we started the process very early this year, which when you're doing it, you're like, wow, this is a lot. But, you get through it and you're like, okay, had some really good sessions. And I think it's all I can say at this point in time is the vote is tomorrow. It's important that people do vote. All the information that we provide is on the website. Every single budgetary document that was presented to the Board of Education, from iterations to the budget to the presentations to the notes, all up there. And I'm pretty proud of the work collectively that we all did, from the town to the Board of Ed, who works tirelessly to support us, and all of the families. Just super proud of the work.
Glenn, do you have any closing Glenn, I'm sorry.
Wayne, closing comments? Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about this headline on the bulletin.
Yeah.
Griswold freshman holds world records. And in powerlifting championships.
We've had him on the show.
Yeah, so I mean that's a pretty good deal, Good Good for him. I'm 15 years old. Man, oh man.
Kind of a unique sport. You don't see a lot of that around.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
So that's. I'm sure he's got a good coach.
Yep.
His parents support him
He's
immensely.
got a few.
But
He's got a few coaches in different places.
he's got to be a big boy at 15 to be doing that.
Yeah.
He's not really tall.
No?
No. I'll show you the show. We had him on the air. We had a whole show with him here.
Yeah, it's impressive.
He's a thick kid,
Mhm.
but he's smart, and he was a good boy. He came in, him and his dad and stuff. Yeah,
Wow.
Pretty impressive. Yeah.
So, the only other thing I got to say is that the people need to get out and vote on this budget. I know a lot of people read the news. Surrounding towns have seen what other towns have done. Plainfield shot theirs down. I think Preston shot theirs down.
Lisbon passed.
Lisbon passed.
Well,
I mean, Killingly, I'm looking here. The other headline is Killingly's trimming their budget, but theirs is up around 20.
I heard more about Killingly, I think, more than anybody.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
I
like
think-
48 million for their school budget.
I think I don't know. I would argue that the difference is we put together, and when I say we, everybody put together a responsible budget that we feel as though we can support the students and the families and support Griswold is also a thriving place to live.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people want to live here, and we have a lot of faculty members that, you know, I often hear it. They live in other communities, and they would love to live in
Well,
Griswold.
that extra
you know?
$1 million you guys brought in with the tuition students helped a lot to offset. I think they started close to $4 million when they started looking at the budget, all the presentation stuff like that. They trimmed it down to 1.14, and they started in the hole with the state legislation issues. You know, with the changes in automobile property taxes and the veteran, changes for the 100% disability.
You're talking town budget right now, right?
No, this is total.
Okay.
It affects everything, because I think the finance directors initially said it was close to $600,000. They're starting in the hole.
560.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So tomorrow, that's when the vote starts.
Votes. I'll be
6
saying
a.m.
Yeah, I'll say my Hail Marys.
6
and
to 8
our
p.m.
fathers.
6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Yeah.
At town hall.
At town hall.
Easy in, easy out.
Yeah.
And
My final thing is I was doing it. I think we're fortunate here in Griswold that we have such an outstanding teaching staff, people that work in our district. We have outstanding teachers. I think
Absolutely.
that's a huge piece, and I hope they recognize that we appreciate. We appreciate what our teachers do every
Absolutely.
day working with our students because we have an outstanding staff. We're very fortunate.
very good. Sean, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, thanks for having us, and we just want to thank everybody for listening to us and let us make our case. And we're here to work for you guys, and we are proud of what we've done, proud of our teachers, proud of definitely the Board of Education and supporting us and working with the Board of Finance and the town. But most of all, we're proud of our students. We've got great kids that can make a future for themselves and build upon their God-given talents, and we're here to do that each and every day.
Yeah, I think Griswold is just a very unique place,
Agreed.
to get an education, to start a life. I mean, I've been here since I was 2.
I know, and
Legit.
God willing, after July 1st, it'll be year number 10.
For you?
Yes. So maybe we'll do a show on that.
That'll be good.
Nice.
That's right. You've been here.
God willing, yeah, 10, yeah.
Wow, that's something, because the previous superintendent, that was when we just started, and all of a sudden, boom, Paul Smith was gone, and here comes Sean McKenna. So that's
I'm very
excellent.
grateful. I'm very grateful.
Well, we're grateful for you too,
Yeah.
sir. So
Thank you.
and as
And with this
well as
goofy
your
Rhythm Nation.
1993. That's when I landed here.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's got me beat.
Well, see,
quite
there you
bad.
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
And-
There's proof in the pudding right there. You've been here for quite some time as well.
88.
That's a long time. It's still
Yeah.
35 years. I mean,
And
the way people move up, and
and I'm going to tell you the biggest
37
thing.
years.
I had nothing to. I didn't have a lot to say about where we're going to live. All right, it was mostly.
Another person.
There was another person that liked the way the school system was set up and the campus was set up. And she's a real estate agent, and she's also, that's the first thing that people ask when they look around towns. They don't ask about,
Look, truth be told, one of the things that people look at right away when they're looking to move into a community is the schools.
schools and shopping, and then medical facilities, pretty much is the way it goes.
All right, guys, thank you very much
Thank you
for
so
coming
much.
in. If you miss any of this and you're just tuning in now, that's okay. As soon as that we are done, you can start all over and watch all the content, and you can rewind it, go back and forth, and everything. So, Mr. McKenna, thank you very much. Mr. Labossiere, thank you very much. And are you hanging out for a few minutes?
I can hang out for a few
All right,
minutes.
we'll be back in a minute right here on SNSN.
Today's program is being brought to you by the Burns Agency in Dayville and Norwich. Home, auto, life insurance, all from a family-owned agency since 1932. Call 860-774-8549 or find them on the web at burnsagency.com and find out why you'll buy better at Burns. The Burns Agency, a Hub International company. Strain Family Motors on Route 12, Lisbon. Quality used cars like the SNSN Strain Family Motors Mobile that you will see at all SNSN sports events. Oil changes, remote car starters, all available and more in their service department. And if you really want to turn up the excitement, rent a Polaris Slingshot for the day and live it up. All available at
Buying, refinancing, or renovating. Your home goals may just be closer and easier than you think with help from your neighbors at Eastern. The lending team at Eastern Connecticut Savings Bank would love to help you understand all the options available to you. And they're happy to help you every step of the way in achieving your dreams because they live where you live. Stop into a branch location or reach out in their easy online mortgage lending center. Get started with Eastern Connecticut Savings Bank at bankeasternct.com. That's Bank Eastern.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
Why are we getting killed like this?
Kyle's not here. Got caught drinking beer in the park a couple of nights ago.
Really?
Yeah, 0 tolerance. He's out for the season.
Harsh.
Hey, he knew not to drink. We've made that clear to all of our kids, right?
No, not really.
Bill, if we don't tell them what we expect and why they shouldn't drink, how are they gonna know?
Talk. They hear you. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
All right. I think, hold on, what am I doing here?
Gotta go to the other side.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
There
You know, maybe I
Well,
should
you
move
can
this
the
around.
laptop too.
Whoopee! Here we go.
There, now we're in the middle.
A little bit better, yeah. So, all right. So we just had a little conversation with the superintendent and the assistant superintendent.
Yeah.
Budget, but also the town vote is tomorrow as well. So
6 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the town hall. That's right. Show up and first of all, get educated. And I mean, if you're going to look at the numbers and stuff, and he talked a little bit about the insurance thing. The insurance thing was a big deal. Insurance is impacting everybody around the country. Insurance rates in this country have skyrocketed. And actually, we went to a seminar at the VFW there beginning of the year. They were talking, or last year, they're talking about how insurance rates are going to climb. And that's impacting everybody, businesses, schools, everybody. So that's something that they have no control over. But I sat through a lot of the budget meetings myself. I sat through the Board of Finance meetings, Board of Education meetings, and all the talk. And this is about, I think, is the best without cutting programs, cutting positions in the town or the school, where the budget and the mill rate is right now. They started off at 0.6 mills because of the changes in the state legislature, and now basically it's at 1.14. So really, the mill rate went up 0.54, which, in most people's opinions, that's the way basic cost of living, everything else, that's where it should be going up every year anyway, is about 0.5 mil. I mean, you can't say zero and everything's going up because eventually it's going to bite you.
So one of the things that it's perpetual every election season here in Griswold, whether it's local elections, and or national elections, or school, or budget votes. Why does Griswold have such a hard time getting people to the polls? What do you think the reason is?
I
for
don't
that?
know. We talk about it. It's all over. You guys on social media put it out there all over the place. I really don't know. And and if you don't show up and you let a small group of people, affect all the votes, and then you find out later what happened, then you start complaining about, well, it's too late. I mean, you got to get get a little bit involved. I mean, all the meetings, all the important meetings really are streamed. The Board of Selectmen is streamed, the Board of Finance is streamed, Board of Ed is streamed. So you don't really need to attend, but you can still watch it.
Yep.
Just like this show, you can still watch it later on.
And we have that. And that
Right.
happens a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
So
where people will catch it at like 5 in the afternoon. Or
not only
something,
that,
you
you can
know.
read the minutes. You can go on the town website and read the minutes from all the meetings and try to understand what's going on in your town and in schools. So I
Do,
don't know.
do you think maybe it's just apathy? People don't care. They figure they're not going to be able to make a change. We're not going to be able to make a change on what it is that this town does. So they figure the vote doesn't matter. I mean, do you think there's a lot of that?
Probably. I mean, we've had some, even in the town municipal votes, we've had some close elections. There's only like a couple votes difference.
What about the school check?
Yep.
I always go back to that one.
Yeah, there's only like a couple votes difference. So I was like,
Between him and Anthony.
Yeah.
2 votes. And then when they recounted, it was 1. No, excuse me, it was 1, and then it was 2.
Yeah.
So it was just amazing to think that your vote, 1 vote, could make that change.
Yep. I mean, you got to
good, bad, or indifferent.
And you really need to make your decisions, based on some information. I mean, it doesn't take long to go look through the minutes and stuff like that.
Or the
Get
budget.
half an hour for budgets and stuff.
Even
like
just look
that.
at the last page of the budget, see where where things are going. But
I mean, I heard people on Facebook complain about how come we're still paying for this, 400, I forget how much it was, $400,000 for the school line item. That's paying for the field bond. You're always going to be paying for that for another 10 years or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And the same thing with the senior center. They're complaining about that. How about that? Well, that's a payment to pay for that. I mean, it's not like we just paid off millions of dollars in one shot.
which was voted on by the town.
Right. It was voted on by the town. All of these things were voted on by the town.
Yeah, it wasn't just somebody sitting with a gavel somewhere saying, "Let's buy this."
Right.
It's not what happened.
Right.
So the bottom line is that your vote does matter. There have been numerous elections. Wayne has said it too. That within 5 votes.
Yep.
So you make a difference. A lot of times, maybe it could just be somebody, a family coming down and voting to make a difference.
Yep.
So if you think your vote doesn't matter, that couldn't be further from the truth.
I guess the question we could have asked while they were here, if the budget doesn't pass, how does that affect? Because I saw that in the article about the Killingly vote and they write about how it's going to affect. So I would think, this is an assumption, by the way, that if they have to go back and cut, you're going to be looking at some positions that are going to have to get cut.
Yeah.
So, and that can affect programs, and if programs start getting affected, then that can affect the way these students from other schools want to come into the school. That affects tuition students. That affects what the money coming in to help with the town.
Mm.
So, I mean, in actuality, all that is connected. And so I think you need to get out there and you need to vote for this budget. I'm for it. I think we need to fly with it. I know there's a lot of people in fixed incomes.
And
that
that's
are
your own
against it.
personal opinion.
Right, it's my own.
But if
personal
you're
opinion.
against it,
Yep.
you have, instead of complaining about it on Griswold Now or some other
Facebook or
social
whatever,
media, whatever, go down and you put it this way: you complain on Griswold Now, it goes nowhere. It does nothing. No one's hearing it. It's noise for people that want to see who lost their dog or, did you hear that noise? Oh, there were sirens going on. That's all that it is. You want to make a difference, go down and vote.
It's your only chance.
And I'm not trying to be snarky. It's really true.
No, as a resident, as a citizen, as a country, that's like your only time to really have a voice. Is to go out and vote, yay or nay.
Yeah. So anyway, you got anything else to say, Wayne? How about Eastern Connecticut Savings Bank?
What about that? What's going on with that?
We
something I don't know?
really got to school you into public current events, man.
Are they getting bought out again?
What do you mean again?
I don't know.
You have the paper right there.
I haven't read that. I was reading the top 2 articles.
So they are merging with Guilford Savings Bank.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. I don't bank there anyway. So. I know you do. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I apologize, Eastern, for Wayne Malin's inconsiderate comments.
Yeah, but you got the other one on there that I do.
So anyway, Guilford Savings
edit that
Bank
out.
and Eastern Connecticut Savings Bank are merging, and that should be done by September 1st. And they are, I mean, really what's happening is Guilford Savings Bank is acquiring Eastern Connecticut Savings Bank to have one institution that's going to go right up and down the shoreline. And they're going to be changing their name to Ascend. It's going to be Ascend Bank, ASCEND. So you're going to start seeing stuff like that. You're going to like, who's Ascend? Well, that's going to be the combination of Eastern Connecticut Savings Bank and Guilford Savings Bank. So now, if you're worried about your accounts at Eastern Connecticut Savings Bank, and you have things like auto pays that are attached to your checking account, your routing number is never going to change. You're going to be grandfathered into that. However, if you open up an account with Ascend, there's going to be a different one. So, but they're hoping,
Sense.
huh?
That makes sense.
Yeah, they're hoping to have the everything on, I think, September 1st, and I've got the hiccups like crazy all of a sudden. It's a cure for the hiccups,
Anyway, did we get any comments this morning?
No.
Nobody's listening.
No,
Oh, man.
no. We got as many comments as people like to go to vote.
Oh, let's talk about that carnival over the weekend. It was a great carnival.
Yep.
Saturday's weather didn't really help, but in the evening it was good. They got the fireworks off. So, but we were there in our booths.
Fireworks
from 2 to 4 in the rain and the wind, and we had to close up shop. It was getting pretty bad. But we went Friday night.
What are you talking about? We had to close up shop.
I had the booths. We had booths there for there's supposed to be 25 vendors there. Only 7 showed up because of the weather. Scared away by the weather. I saw Ryan there. But we were there. Public health and safety was there for the town and stuff like that. And DTC was there. RTC was there. A couple other vendors were there. But Friday night we went. That was a really nice night to go. And take your kids, get on some rides. And actually the rides were a lot better than they had previously. And Sunday turned out to be nice. I didn't go Sunday, but I'm sure they did pretty well Sunday. But
so I put a little poll up. We had 14 votes. Here's the thing: 640 people reached, 14 people voted. It's crazy.
What was the vote for?
So I said, so be honest, what do you think of the fireworks on Saturday night?
Okay.
And the first option was best ever, and that got 21%. Obviously, these people have not seen many fireworks shows. Second option was they were okay, 51%, which was a clear winner.
Mm-hmm.
Third option was meh, 7%. And then the last option was 21%. So 1 out of every 5 person thought that sparklers were more exciting than that fireworks show.
So I heard it. I didn't see it.
Huh?
But I heard it in our neighborhood, but I didn't see it. But it didn't seem long. But, But then again, you got to realize the vendor paid for those fireworks. We didn't.
You're talking about Rockwell Amusements.
Rockwell Amusement,
right?
Paid for the fireworks. Rec and Youth did not pay for those fireworks, which really the town. So, and that was one of the attractive things that they came in. Plus the fact that the rides were better than the previous vendor, which went out of business. And,
well, obvious reasons.
Yeah. But yeah, so the thing about Ryan though is that he will check and adjust. So see what he comes up with next year.
Yeah, I mean, they did pay for the fireworks. I thought the fireworks were lukewarm at best. There wasn't much of a show. It wasn't. There was the finale was. I'm gonna go with meh. Whatever.
Okay.
But I will say that you're right. The fireworks were paid for by the amusement company,
Yep.
Rockwell, and Ryan Albin went to social media after because I think he knew he was going to get some feedback, and he did let people know right away that it was paid by Rockwell.
Yeah.
He didn't even know the company that they used.
Yep.
Or anything. So it's one of those, hey, we got what we got. Thanks for what we got.
Yeah. So Ryan last week talked.
Because we know damn well Ryan, when he's put on some really good fireworks shows, some really good companies. Where, matter of fact, a couple of years ago, the finale on a Griswold fireworks show was probably better than anything I've ever seen.
So I don't know. He talked about last week how he'll take the feedback and he'll make adjustments as necessary, right?
Yep.
But if people want a better fireworks show, then we'll have to pay for it. There you go.
You're so silly. Good morning, Aaron, out in Ohio. Of course, nobody has time locally to comment.
They're all busy getting ready to go vote.
Yeah, sure they are. Sure they are.
Is that sarcasm? Yeah, probably.
A little bit. All right, so what are we doing tomorrow? Are you here tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm here. I ran into Mr. Barney.
Yep, he'll be here tomorrow too.
He'll be here tomorrow, and Paul was going to be here.
Yeah, we're gonna have a full slate
So
tomorrow.
I said I'd show up, and there you go. 3 old men. 4.
I guess
You're
I'm
the youngest of the bunch.
I know, but I still think I'm in that category now. So anyway, all right. Thanks to Sean McKenna and Glenn Labossiere for coming in today and talking about the school budget again. The school budget and the town budget. You can vote on it tomorrow. It's not just a borough vote; it's any Griswold voter, both town and borough, down at Town Hall, 28 Main Street in Jewett City. It starts at 6 a.m. and it ends at 8 p.m. There's absolutely really no reason. I mean, with a 14-hour time span, where the polls are going to be open, you can go before work and go after work. Even if you forget to go after work and go before work. If you didn't do that, go down today and put
absentee ballot.
You can do put an absentee ballot in.
Yeah, you can.
So there's many ways you can do this. There's really zero excuse, unless you live by the iron lung and can't move out of your bedroom.
Correct.
And even then, you can do an absentee
We had
ballot.
somewhere around 12,000 residents in this town. It would be nice to see maybe 2,000-3,000.
And we're lucky to get 3 to 4%.
Yeah, I'd like to get about maybe 2,000-3,000. It'd be nice. But
good luck with that. We hope you see it. So,
Yep.
So anyway, if you missed any of the show with Glenn Labossiere and Sean McKenna that was on earlier, once we end this right now, you can go back and watch it. And they talk about the budget and what they're doing, what's in the budget, and so forth. So, all right, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yep. See you tomorrow.
You clown. You're a clown. We're all clowns. All right. Tomorrow, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. See you later. 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
9 a.m.